Our next speaker for today is Chief Phil Jost. He's the Deputy Chief of the Seattle Fire Department, currently serving as a shift commander. Chief of the Year in Seattle Fire Department in 2014. He's been a four-year program manager for Chief Officer Mayday Training, 30 years of fire department experience, nationally known instructor for reading smoke, air management, and tactical decision making. He's co-author of Air Management for the Fire Service, Fire Engineering 2008, chapter author for the Fire Engineering Handbook for Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2 SCBA, Fire Engineering Bread and Butter Video Series author, and SCBA recipient of the FDIC Tom Brennan Training Achievement Award. He's been an FDIC hot instructor for multiple years, FDIC classroom instructor since 2004, and Firehouse World, Firehouse Expo, FDIC East, and FDIC West involved with those. Please welcome Chief Jost to the stage.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, I got to tell you, I'm so excited to be here today and so excited to be in South Carolina. I want to say first thank you to Trey and Chief Minnick and Chief Palmer and the staff here. The opportunity to come to South Carolina and speak for the South Carolina Firefighters Association is just really, for me, an honor that I could never have imagined. You know, I'm in the fire service. I've worked 31 years with Seattle, and I was a volunteer for about 4 years before that, resident. I drove ambulance. I tell you what, man, I love it. I love everything about what we do. I love everything about what we do. I came to the opening ceremonies this morning, the pipes and drums, the pomp, the circumstance, watching Chief Palmer get the award this morning. It's all just great. Walking around last night, seeing the apparatus, just the whole thing about what we do. Laying lines, putting up ladders, forcing doors. Man, that stuff is just incredible to me. I wake up every single day thanking God that I've had the opportunity to be in the fire service. It's just amazing. Now, when Brick Lewis and the chief asked me to come speak, they said I should talk on a fire service topic, and the confidence that showed that they believed that I could have a message that would resonate here, and the future is yours. You know, you have 113 years of service in this association. My department has a 125-year history. You know, we've got a lot of history, but we've also got a future that lasts forever. I tell people in my own organization, you know, I've been here 30 years. Seattle Fire Department is going to be here 100 years from now. It's going to be here 200 years from now. What are we doing now so that the future is even better than it is today? When I talk about the future, I think about three things that have meant a lot to me in my path in the fire service. That's the community, our commitment, and the service we provide. Now, you think about the community, you're like, your community here, this association, this conference, amazing. I mean, I'm not saying anything that you probably don't know, but this is an amazing conference. This rivals all of the national conferences. The quality of the instructors you have, the depth and breadth of the training is incredible. The community here is just amazing, right? And then the commitment that each and every one of you has by being here, by spending your time, your money, your effort to be here, the effort of the staff, the commitment that they have, and then the service. You're providing the service to each other. You're going to network here. You're going to learn from each other. Back to the jurisdictions, the counties, the cities, the fire districts that you serve to make them better. Now, my path, that idea of community and commitment and service, it started with my parents. You know, when I think about my family, it's a little bit of an interesting story. I have a fairly large family. You know, I could probably pull a 20 out of my wallet and bet anybody in here my family's bigger than yours. But I have 5 brothers. So there's six boys, right? Which makes us a pretty big crowd. I think the coach this morning if I'd have met him when I was younger, maybe we could have had our own team, right? And that's just the boys. But I also have not just 3 sisters and not just 6 sisters. I have 9 sisters, right? So a family of 15, and that's a community in and of itself. But picture my mom at 48 years old in 1963. She went back to school to get her master's degree in education. And the reason she did that is she was committed to her own education and the education of her children and the education of the children of the community where we lived. Because she needed her master's degree, she wanted to open a kindergarten in the basement of my house, something that my dad built for her in the basement. And so you can imagine that she got her master's degree. She was going to school when she was pregnant with me. She got her master's degree after I was born. Actually, I have the article. It says, "Mother of 15 graduates from college." What a leadership example there, before I was even born, right? So you can imagine, I've been in school since I was born, literally since I was born on my mother's hip. But the community there that she built by having that kindergarten, the kids that went there to that kindergarten, some of them now are still my friends to this day. There's a guy who lives in my town, Sean, first kid I ever spent the night at his house, Sean Gallagher, right? That community was built. In fact, I was at work just a couple months ago, and I started talking with the firefighter. We've never worked in the same house, but, I've known him. He's been there over 20 years. And we started talking. It's like, we're from the same hometown. Wow, that's close, right? I found out he went to my mother's kindergarten. This guy I'm working with in the Seattle Fire Department right now. That community and the commitment that it took for her and my dad to make that work, and the commitment that they showed by being able to leverage that into a private school education for every member of my family. Okay, a lot of my older brothers and sisters went to private high school as well. I just went through elementary school in 8th grade. But that community that she built, the commitment and the service it provided to us. I mean, you heard earlier I wrote a book. I wrote a book because I diagrammed sentences in 4th grade, right? I diagrammed sentences in 4th grade because of the service that my mom provided. So that's how my path started, the community and commitment and service from my parents. But I saw it again when I came into the Seattle Fire Department. I thank God every day when I opened that letter that I got that job. Man, I've been taking tests, going to classes, doing everything I could. When I finally got that opportunity, I showed up my first day of recruit school, and Lieutenant Charlie Murphy was there. And he seemed to me to be an old salt. I found out later, of course, he was a well-respected veteran. But he made a commitment to me and the other members of my team. There was 5 of us that worked for Lieutenant Murphy in drill school. And every day of drill school, he was there for me. He was committed to my success. So committed, in fact, that as a drill school instructor, every time I was working a line, he was right beside me. He'd often put his hand, I'd feel it right there through that sort of thump that you get through the bunker gear when somebody, touches you with a little bit of force. Just bam, he would just put it there, and then he would just give me a little coaching. He'd put his hand there and just give me a little coaching. Dedicated to my success, committed, right? Providing a service every day to brand new people in the fire department. Fast forward about 10 weeks, we go to the State Academy to do some live fire training. And it's my first opportunity to really be on a nozzle and make a hallway and put out a room fire. Now, I've been a volunteer, but I'd never been first in. I'd never gotten that opportunity to make the hallway, to get in the fire room when the fire was still working. And my partner that day was Mickey Mann. He's a paramedic now. He's a paramedic architect. Like many fire service people, he does more than one thing. But we're in the hallway, and Lieutenant Murphy says to me, he says, "You guys stay right here, I'll be right back." And he goes down the hallway. It's about 10 feet down in the room. And he goes in there. I know now as an instructor, he was packing up some pallets and stuff to get us a good fire. And he comes back, and he said, "Just sit tight, we're just going to watch it." So we did a little bit of fire behavior stuff, and the smoke's banking down, and I can see the air underneath. And then eventually the little tendrils of fire start coming down the hallway. And man, I'm just a 22-year-old kid. And I've never been in this situation. I'm legitimately nervous now, right? And all of a sudden the thing just turns over just like that. Many of you have experienced this. And all of a sudden the fire is rolling down the hallway over our head. And I'm starting to do a little self-talk. Like, it's a little hot in here. And it's like, you know, and I'm nervous. And all of a sudden right behind me, I feel that hand. And instantly, calm descends on me. And I know it's going to be okay. And then Lieutenant Murphy just leans in and says, open the pipe, make a push, I'll be right here. And sure enough, just like the training ground, I did just what he told me. I opened the pipe, I started to move forward. Mickey's right behind me, pushing me in, pushing me in, pushing me in. And I'm just doing everything I can to put that water on the fire and get it out. We get in the room. Mickey breaks off. He opens the window. I start the hydraulic ventilation. Things lift, clear. Mickey does the primary search. It's all clear, and he reports into the instructor. Primary search, all clear. Water on the fire. Just like the training ground. Because he was committed every day. He was committed every evolution. He was there in service to 2 young kids on that day. In that hallway. And I can tell you, I've made many a hallway since, and every single time, I can feel Charlie Murphy's hand on my shoulder, feel his very calm voice, leading me down the hallway, confidence in the team that's behind me, confidence in my skill and my ability that he gave me, providing that service to the citizens, right? Getting in the room, making the room, open the door, get the hydraulic ventilation started, and get the search done. Get the search done, get the search done. Right? Now, that was great. We had a great community there, all the recruits. I mean, still remember class 48. Some of them are retired now. Paramedic Mickey Mann and I were on 4 committees together. Really great service to the citizens that I think we've provided in our time. But we fast forward 10 years. I'm a lieutenant. I'm working with Captain Ray Shakur Asadi. And Captain Asadi and I, he was on the engine and I was on the truck. And we worked together for a couple years in a busy house. We were in a busy house. And boy, you know, talk about dedication and service and commitment. When we went to fires and his hose was on the floor below, I hoped he was committed because I was going to the floor above. I needed him to be committed, right? And I knew that he would be. So that was a community we built there. But Captain Asadi went to drill school, and he taught one class as the captain down there. And he asked me if I would come be a lieutenant. And of course, I said, absolutely, I'll come be a lieutenant. How could I not take the example of Charlie Murphy? How could I not build on that for the future of the Seattle Fire Department? So I go down to the academy. I'm there a couple of days. There's 8 of us. There's 8 instructors, and we're going to teach 40 recruits. It's the second largest recruit class ever for the Seattle Fire Department. And I'm going to get 5 of them. 5 of them are going to be my responsibility, much like I was Charlie Murphy's responsibility. And the day before the recruits show up, the captain calls me in the office. I actually thought I had done something wrong because his demeanor is a little more stern than I was used to with Captain Asadi. He didn't call me by my first name. After I sat down, he said, Lieutenant, and he got my attention because he didn't say my name. And I said, yes, sir. You know, the automatic response. He said, you are personally responsible for the success of these 5 recruits. And he slid a piece of paper across the desk. And he looked at me and he got my eyes, he got my attention. He said, you are personally responsible for their success. And this weight sort of came to me that you know, they had quit their jobs. These 5 people, they had quit their jobs. Some of them had moved or moved their families. Think about the risk that they were taking to take this opportunity with Seattle Fire Department and the weight that I had as their instructor to make sure that they were successful. So that it got me in the right frame of mind, and I started training them, and I think I was reasonably effective. They all made it through out of drill schools. Many of them are promoted right now, but the real lesson that Captain Asadi gave me was 6 weeks later. 6 weeks later, I'm doing my group, and he comes and he says, Phil, there's something I need to show you. And again, I thought I was in trouble. But Cap says, he said, turn your group over to Lieutenant O'Brien, come with me. I said, okay. So we walk around the corner. I got to tell you, this is something that I'll never can say enough about Captain Asadi for this lesson he gave me. We came around the corner watching Lieutenant Smith, and Smitty, you know, he was my lieutenant that I worked next to all day, every day, and that was great. He was an okay guy, but we didn't see eye to eye. But I was watching him all of a sudden. I was watching him with this group. Came around, and the evolution was just the recruit had to charge a line and get a hydrant, right? Nothing major. It takes about 5 minutes or so. But as soon as he says go and hits the stopwatch, the recruit comes out of the cab, and I can tell that it's just not what I would think it should look like. I've watched a lot of people drill, even by this time, and it just wasn't smooth and crisp and nice. And the other 4 recruits are standing there like silently, right? They're just silent and almost stiff. And that takes about 5 minutes to do the drill. And sure enough, when the lieutenant says, okay, stop at the end, right? It's been about 5 minutes. As soon as he says stop, every single one of those recruits runs, and they get their toes on this line, and then they look straight ahead. And I mean, it was like they were scared. And then Smitty starts to go over the drill performance, and just in a very negative and almost a diatribe way. And the debrief takes 10 minutes. And by the time he's done, all 5 of the recruits are looking down at the ground. Their shoulders are hunched. They look like beat dogs. And Captain Asadi's just standing next to me the whole time. He doesn't say anything except, we're done here, and he walks away. So I follow him. And we go around the other side of the drill court, and we're going to go watch Lieutenant Moreau. And Lieutenant Moreau, every day I love to see the guy. Positive, full of energy, right? We come around the corner, and just as we come around the corner, they're doing the exact same evolution. Lieutenant Moreau says, go. His recruit hops out of the cab. He's moving crisp. He's clean. His couplings go, they're just like, I mean, it's textbook perfect. Better than many of the long-term drivers I've seen from a technical proficiency standpoint. And it takes about 5 minutes again, and then Lieutenant Moreau says, okay, stop, and he's done. The minute he's done, the whole group gets together in a circle, and the lieutenant puts his head in there, and they're all, the whole time, the whole crew, the other ones are going, good job, get go, right? They're all positive, and there's just so much good energy. And then the lieutenant, instead of having them line up, he gets them in a circle. And then he says, okay, you guys give him some feedback, right? So all the other recruits are telling him, you did good on this, you need to work on that. Like, they all could see both the good and the bad in their fellow recruit. It comes around the circle, Lieutenant Moreau gives one clue, one piece of coaching. And he says what he's going to say, and then he says, okay, break and get it cleaned up. And then they're all cleaning up, picking up, and they're all happy. They're high-fiving. They're walking around with confidence, swagger, their heads up, their shoulders back. Just loving every day of drill school. Now, if we think about the difference between Smitty on one side and Lieutenant Moreau on the other side, nobody wants to be Smitty. Nobody wants to be around him. The coach talked about that this morning. Or this afternoon? Who do you have around you? Who do you put around you? Who do you allow in your organization to be the influencer? You don't want it to be Smitty. Nobody wants Smitty. We all want Lieutenant Moreau. We all want Lieutenant Moreau. We all want to be him, and his commitment, the community he built in that group. Now think about this. 10 recruits out of 40, out of 4,000 applicants, right? We're talking about these 10 people were probably less than 1 percentage point away from each other on the testing process. They're all like exactly the same person from a physical, knowledge, psychological eval situation. If you look at Smitty's group, only 3 of them even survived drill school. 2 got fired. Their career in the Seattle Fire Department over, their dream to be a firefighter devastated, right? The other 3 are competent. They're all working there now, and they're all competent firefighters. None of them are breaking the doors down, but they're all competent. If we look at Lieutenant Morrow's group, 5 recruits in that one class. 5 recruits, right? 2 of them are paramedics. They're paramedic trainers. Seattle, I'll hold our EMS up against anybody's in the world. Something I'm very proud about for my organization. They're trainers in that system, that EMS system. 2 of them are lieutenants. One of them's teaching drill school right now. They finished the drill school, 6 weeks ago. The next one starts August 9th. 30 recruits in February, 30 recruits in August. We're going to hire 500 people in the next 10 years. We're hiring as fast as we can, and we can't even keep up with retirements. I need Lieutenant Moreau teaching every single one of them, and that's who this lieutenant is because of Moreau's example. And one's a captain, one of our best captains. I hope he takes the next chief's test. That's the outcome of Lieutenant Moreau's commitment, building a community, demonstrating service. Think about the service that he provided to the citizens of my town. He produced probably 20 or 30 recruits of that quality, officers, trainers, influencers across the organization for a 30-year career after he was done. And when we finished watching Lieutenant Moreau, Captain Asadi, all he said was, I think you've seen everything you need to see. You should go back to your group. That was it. But the power of that example, for him to see that I needed to see that I could maybe, if I had a chance, be like Lieutenant Moreau. Now, if we think about community and commitment of service, and the future is yours, right? The people in this room are the tip of the spear. You're the tip of the spear in South Carolina. And I'll tell you what, South Carolina is the tip of the spear in the United States of America. You guys are doing it here. What you've built here is amazing, but you're the tip of the spear. This community here, right, needs to take everything you can have at this conference, every class you can go to, every network event you can see, every person that you can connect with to build a community here so that when you leave, you can grab that future and make a community like that where you are, where you live, where you work. The commitment that takes, the commitment to be here, but also the commitment. You know what's funny is there's a lot of conferences where like the motto of the conference is what happens at the conference stays at the conference. That's not here. What I know from here is that what happens here you take home. You learn it, you take it home, you share it, you make the South Carolina Fire Service the envy of the world. That's what you do here because you're the tip of the spear and the future is yours. And the service that you provide to this state, to the region, to the Midlands, the coast, whatever it is. I mean, that was evidenced today by Chief Palmer getting the Order of the Palmetto. I mean, that was something I can't tell you how valuable it was for me to see that. To see the way the governor talks about this organization. Man, you've got something great here. So make the future yours. Take whatever you can from this conference, build the community you need, make the commitment necessary, and provide a great service out there. If you want to come see me, I'm teaching tomorrow at 10:30. Other than that, I'll see you out on the conference. Have a great conference and take it back home. Thank you. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief Joseph.